You know what used to stress me out more than anything? Feeling like I was doing all the right money things and still somehow falling behind. Like I'd be investing a little bit, feeling proud of myself, and then, boom, something breaks. Something unexpected happens, and suddenly I'm right back where I started. And for a long time I thought the problem was I just wasn't investing enough, or I hadn't found the right stock, or I didn't know enough. But honestly, the real issue was that I was doing things in the wrong order. So let me start with the least exciting part of all of this. Emergency savings. Yeah, I know. Nobody wakes up excited to save money they hope they never have to use. I definitely didn't. I used to think an emergency fund was optional, like something you did once you were already rich. And then my car needed repairs and it wasn't cheap, and I didn't have the cash. That was a fun lesson. What finally clicked for me is that an emergency fund isn't really about the money itself. It's about not panicking. It's about not being forced into bad decisions at the worst possible time. That's why I always say start with $1,000. Just get to $1,000 as fast as you can. That alone covers most small emergencies and gives you this weird sense of calm that's hard to explain until you feel it. Once you hit that, then you work toward 1 month of living expenses. Not your entire lifestyle, just the basics. Rent, food, utilities, gas. And eventually you aim for 3 months. Not all at once, not overnight, just step by step. What's interesting is that research actually shows people with at least $2,000 in emergency savings report about 21% higher financial well-being. And that makes sense because once you're not constantly afraid of everything going wrong, you stop making desperate money choices. Now, once you have that basic safety net, this is where a lot of people mess up. High interest debt, especially credit cards, these things are brutal. I don't care how excited you are about investing. If you're carrying debt charging 20% interest, the math is not on your side. I've seen people invest money while paying over 20% on credit cards, and it's painful to watch. It's like running uphill on a treadmill. Anything above roughly 8% interest needs to go. And the most efficient way to do it is the debt avalanche method. You list all your debts, pay the minimums on everything, and then you throw every extra dollar at the one with the highest interest rate. It's not glamorous. It doesn't feel exciting. But it works. Think about it this way. If you have $5,000 in credit card debt at 22% interest and you only make minimum payments, you'll pay close to $2,800 in interest over 5 years. That's money just disappearing. Paying that debt down is like earning a guaranteed 22% return. You are not beating that in the stock market consistently. Period. Now here's where things get a little counterintuitive. Even before all that debt is gone, there's one thing that usually comes first. Employer retirement matching. If your employer offers a match, you take it. You contribute just enough to get the full match and not a dollar more yet. This is free money. It's basically an instant 100% return on your contribution. For example, let's say you earn $50,000 per year and your employer matches 50 cents on the dollar, up to 6%. You contribute $3,000, they give you $1,500. Immediately. No risk, no waiting. That kind of return is almost impossible to beat, even with high interest debt. Just make sure you understand your vesting schedule so you don't lose that money if you leave the job too soon. Once that foundation is in place, emergency fund started, high interest debts under control, employer match secured, then you move into what I think is one of the most overlooked steps: individual retirement accounts. IRAs. I like these before adding extra to a 401k because they usually give you more control and lower fees. A lot of workplace plans are loaded with expensive funds that quietly eat your returns over time. For 2025, you can contribute up to $7,000 to an IRA, or $8,000 if you're 50 or older. Then you have to choose between traditional and Roth. And honestly, people overthink this. If you're early in your career or in a lower tax bracket, Roth usually makes sense. You pay taxes now while your income is lower, and withdrawals later are tax-free. If you're in your peak earning years, traditional can be helpful because you get the tax break now. And if you're unsure, splitting between the two is completely fine. That flexibility later is valuable. Now let's talk about the most underrated account in personal finance, the health savings account. If you're eligible for one, this thing is ridiculous in the best way. Triple tax advantage. Contributions are tax deductible. The money grows tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are tax-free. There is no other account that does all three. For 2025, you can contribute $4,300 for individual coverage, or $8,550 for family coverage. Here's the strategy most people miss. If you can afford it, pay your current medical expenses out of pocket and let the HSA stay invested. Save the receipts. There's no deadline to reimburse yourself. You could pay for a doctor visit today and reimburse yourself 20 years from now, tax-free. If you max an HSA for 30 years and earn around 7% annually, you could end up with over $400,000 set aside for medical expenses, completely tax-free. And considering how expensive healthcare is in retirement, that's huge. After age 65, you can even use the money for non-medical expenses. You'll pay income tax like a traditional IRA, but medical costs are basically guaranteed later in life anyway. After that, you go back to your 401k and start maxing it out beyond the employer match. The 2025 contribution limit is $23,500, or $31,000 if you're 50 or older. The benefit here is tax-advantaged compounding. Your money grows without getting chipped away by taxes every year. When you combine an IRA, an HSA, and a 401k, you can potentially shelter over $35,000 per year from taxes if you're under 50. Most people never get anywhere near this. The average savings rate is way lower. But if you can follow this sequence, you're putting yourself in a very different position long term. Only after all of that do we finally get to taxable investment accounts. This is the part everyone wants to start with. Stocks, ETFs, crypto, all of it. And look, taxable accounts are great. They're flexible. No contribution limits, no withdrawal rules. You can use them for early retirement, a house down payment, or to pass money on to your kids. But they come with tax drag. Dividends get taxed. Capital gains get taxed. Over decades, that matters a lot. Investing $10,000 per year for 30 years at 7% could grow to roughly $944,000 in tax-advantaged accounts. In a taxable account with the same return, you might end up closer to $700,000. That difference is just taxes quietly doing their thing. So taxable accounts are powerful, but they work best once you've already squeezed every benefit out of tax-advantaged options. The big lesson here is simple, even if it's not easy. Order matters. Doing the boring stuff first makes everything else work better. Emergency savings keep you from panicking. Killing high-interest debt stops the bleeding. Employer matching gives you free money. Tax-advantaged accounts let your money compound faster. It's not exciting. It doesn't make for flashy headlines. But it works, and honestly, once you feel that stability, once you're not constantly stressed about money, investing becomes way more enjoyable. You're not gambling. You're building something solid. And future you is going to be really grateful you did it this way.